right, so welcome back from that break. This morning we're going to, have an interesting conversation here. Now, I'm entreating you to be a part of our conversations today, Sunday. The agri sector, like I said, on our way to him, my hand and anom, not just farming there, yes, a second, but fish farming, another area that we hardly talk about. Fisheries. I may be a fisherman. Come now, I grew up, the coastal area. So your crop fishing, if you ask me to do the inland fishing, the dragnet fishing, I'm super. But we hardly talk about them. And at some point, we're talking unemployment, forgetting that agri sector alone can sustain the economy. You understand, and will minimize, this unemployment rate. But this morning, we're looking at AI robotics, leveraging on them to make sure that we boost the agri sector. Kabina, good morning once again.
Good morning to you, Kojo, and good morning to your audience out there.
And Rebecca Chinimo.
Yo, Mate.
Yeah. But before we go straight to your conversations, now let me say that Kobna, you're the CEO of Quantizer Fulfillment Technology. Beautiful. Yeah. And then he's also with the African Dry. Beautiful. Yeah. So last week we could not deal much with that one. And then before we wrap up, we'll look at that area and then how Ghanaians watching us can take advantage as well. But someone was asking that just in 2 minutes, did you school here in Ghana?
Yes, I did.
So help us.
All right. So I grew up in Akuse and Akusambo. So I went to the VRA International School.
Okay.
So Akuse Grade School and schooled in Achimota School after Akusambo International School. Then I went for college in the United States before university education in Niamey.
Oh, so you lived here?
Yep.
Wow. Absolutely. Welcome back. Come now, after Yambra into robotics and AI. We want to leverage on that. Not yet to me revamp the agri sector. So let's bump into that conversation. What are we not doing right as a people with respect to the agri sector in the area of AI and the technology as a whole? What are we not doing right?
Well, we have a unique opportunity to, be more efficient, to be more productive, to bring more precision and practice sustainable agriculture. Why do I say these things? Right now, if you farming, you usually fertilize. If you need to use fertilizer, you probably broadcasting it across the entire farming location, right? But you can instrument, you can have sensors which are checking for moisture, whether it's fertilizing, whether it's watering and all that. You can instrument your farm using sensors so that you'll be able to detect moisture content per zone.
My grandfather, Nimi uncle, almost showed me from other places, and then help me. Because we're speaking to the farmers. I know you can't robotics and AI now. Omadwimu bibi kakraka bi se embenyen sa so ye can AI na mo artificial intelligence no cry ye de no ni ade and na de na mo de ba be man ya adwuma e konsa nti no ye come twetwe no and then to the layman's understanding nti ye san sha ase e wo honom na ye machine no so the fisherman listening and you can know ti no wo say ye nya de
okay nti so we for sisia ebia or in so out the water or plants na or water at a certain frequency, right? But if it be or what ubetime de ahya asasinum o de hya asasinum na obehu se ampa asasine hia so
good,
right? Enti se unya sa nimdeɛ na efi sɛ ode saa fidie na ahyehyɛ nsasem no ehia sɛ obe use nsu bebree sɛna oyɛ no.
Okay.
In the same way fertilizer. So if you didn't or they detect the soil,
Let's say the mineral
nutrients,
content in
the
the
mineral.
soil.
If you didn't
No?
the
Yeah.
yes, I know, right? And also to me, boama, we are more precise, right? Into all the be out the cap back in a go. But okay, a nutrients or assassin ma, the be here a
Teaspoon.
into by name sir, na uhie cap, kesiye bako, ni nia yaka, right? Into yaka say using AI in agriculture. Essentially, it is making sure say unya the right information.
Okay.
Nimdeɛ mfidie na wode bɛhyɛ nsase no mu na wenya right nimdeɛ no. A nimdeɛ no ɛbɛboa wo na wayɛ the right decisions as to ahe, you know, fertilizer ahe na ɛsɛ mede gu nso
The
ahe na
right
ɛsɛ mede gu.
quantity you will
Exactly.
need.
Right. That is one aspect. The other aspect is to say, your friend will be computer vision. Computer vision, no. What they timehwe o farm no. Nti etimi detect say ebi ayare bi ana mboa bi ebe efuo no. Na we use sa system na ubetimi ehu ne ntam ansa na a farm
I spread it.
I spread it or farm honey now, right? Into I know somehow in a timely fashion, obetimi take decisions. Now, they make what I call in a few minutes now here economic analysis.
Okay.
But so on my then say ubenya nkrofo mbekọ akoye adwuma ewe info a utime you see autonomous robots.
Okay.
Etimi do etimi siesie asase etimi ku inrura because leveraging sa computer vision na etimi hu the environment etimi map the environment etimi the GPS who say okay etimi the GPS who say okay ahana assemble. All right. Ahana weeds no ahana run no. It's me targeted sa in run. Right? Sana when for pesticides and good way for
Nina so
eba picking fruits right? See a tasa nipa no bebre say usi u plan in the year but who say robots bet me ayesa in German because to say using machine vision no robots bet me ehu dey ekoso e wa adwen right algorithms
that's right.
it to me make decisions it to me inform a farmer no right for the farmer to make right decisions e bet me have weather patterns environmental patterns who say in so be touch na intebia and here so be you see
irrigation system, yeah.
right? And see, at the end of the day, it's about getting the most with the least, optimization, right? It being so where pollination, it be a time be where pollinate or plant na a bear yield food be brave. Or sa computer vision now who say run a do sa stage na ubetimi ama yes ade and a be spray you know chemical be egu so right into their AI and robotics and their a boapa from the perspective of precision optimization right not only within the farm but your entire supply chain.
Wow.
Right into being so who say usually you plant one plant monocropping but she see out to me map farm ni na if with your computer vision and robotic solutions no, you can actually intercrop based on assassin until as a enkatie train nitrogen
their beans,
beans,
supplementate,
well,
yes.
it allows you to be more precise and make the most out of your farm per square foot.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
That is the unique opportunity. But
Wow.
it's not just going to come by default. All right. Here investment.
Okay, we should be deliberate, right?
We should be very deliberate. Here investment. So the sikashim and so yeah analysis and so do sikashim based on baby hour labor cost nesanya mano. Ubenya home for so. When the American and yes, no also sorry na.
Would
and also the machines be very good.
Come na yen share idea ba ko ha. In fact there ye can say no it makes a lot of sense. Say you bet me akọ said ya ye konu ya. So at the end of the day machine cry no AI ne be detect actually say aha no a person would be jane no the land isn't too good for jane.
Absolutely.
Enti ebia yenye nkatie rather not too long ago na ebinom ka say over the western part no the western part does not do well with cocoa. You will be there cocoa in there but palm solid at the western side over the western regions now udia the wasa area no udia abea unya more yield as compared to cocoa and then when you take the Ashanti part of the eastern part now also when you cocoa no unya more yield as compared to palm. So I'm believing that with what we're saying, the AI system no, that can really be doing these detections now. We will know what to do at the right place at the right time. All right.
And by the AI system no so were different parts, right? We hear data.
That's right.
Until I saw you may be now near sad data no. I say we instrument all the sensors, I say take samples. Now or a code database. Right, because I say AI to here data. Into I say yetimi profile dear ye nra, dear ye plant, dear ye way, dear mboa ne dear boa. I say to me profile a phone. Now when who say way ye nra I say me de o de fa dem ha, yan fa dem ha no. Yan dwen who say and tontum what them her. One option I go for is be spray.
Mosquito spray, yeah.
Right? What the AI can help you do with computer vision is a bit me my target and tontum no abo and tontum on a centimeter millimeter basis.
That's right.
And he has said the pesticide no.
Ebe kobe
bia. And see at the end of the day, one spend as much pesticide as
on a normal day no overspend
in a car say oh your plant meaning so on your plant like
okay.
your plant
okay so also your plant come on let's move on there that's right
and you hear oxygen right ebia depending on or when no ebia you don't need as much
as you may need.
I may need.
Yeah.
Well, in the same way, no. Oh, unkwan our ha. Umbetimia control it. You know that content. I'm just using that as an illustration.
I can
so that you can relate that to the farm application.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
In tontum de pana me pe.
That's right. So you are AI ne precise.
Precise.
And see, we also look at cost efficiency.
Absolutely.
And all that.
Yeah.
Now we'll be speaking with Professor Kwame Frimpong from the UCC.
Okay.
When it comes to agric or South Africa, yeah, he's one of the finest you can speak to. You know, so he's also going to help us because yesterday he fell in love with this whole conversations and he thinks that where we've gotten to as a people, that is the way to go. Now, my question is, where should we start from?
Where should we start
Sure.
from? We should be building capacity, right? Capacity of our people, whether it's students in these areas. Secondly, we really need to map out the whole innovation ecosystem, right? Because here research, here understanding the local context, getting data on the local context, weeds, understanding say a machine who weeds are, who say a weed, say a who's plant, who say a plant, it requires work. Ideally, you expect a research ecosystem to be doing that type of work right now.
Okay.
Right? Whether it's Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, the universities, doing that work of having that database, training models to detect Sanyamano, right? Then you will expect some incentivization from a Ministry of Agriculture, for example. Minim say a experimental test, a pilot in a small place to test these
with a green garden. With a green garden, I think they were trying to do a piloting on Sanyom and Yome.
Okay.
But as we speak, minim what the findings has been. I remember they were training people, to go into the green farm.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen the green farm where they were trying to make use of asasikitwebi, a bit me,
greenhouses.
Greenhouses,
Okay.
So I don't know where we've gotten to as a people and whether we're ready to, go into a large, system. Normally idea. I'm not too sure. But then from our conversation this morning, and Ami Busami who said, looking at Yang as a people, where you were coming from, where today robot seems to be doing so much, AI seems to be helping us make precise decisions. Do you think we are there?
Oh, we're definitely not there. We're not there right now, right?
Even when we're talking about global village?
Yeah, we're not there right now. But let me qualify that by saying, Madame Fubiwaha, or I'm saying Gudra Systems, Darlington Akugo.
Okay.
All right. Besides the work he does on, analyzing X-rays and detecting lung diseases and the like, he also does this computer vision, machine vision in cocoa farms.
Wow.
So there's some work going on from the perspective of disease and pest detection.
Okay.
All right.
And then the control.
Yeah. I've also seen some footage of drones delivering pesticides on farms, someplace in the northern region.
Okay.
So when I say we're not there, I'm talking about scale.
Scale.
All right. And making the most of the abundant arable lands that we have.
Sure.
And I believe I have heard, and it doesn't always have to be like a government initiative. Like I said, I've heard the Minister of Agric talking about launching a new initiative to build more capacity when it comes to various crops, right? I don't know whether they will be using AI, robotics, the
systems,
technology solutions, which will go with that. But I think there is definitely more to do on a national basis and on a continental basis.
That's right.
We have.
They're looking at the Planting for Food and Job initiative, which this morning, right after here, personally, I'm going to meet with the director of Agric. We're looking at that into detail. Yeah.
Super.
So, but we're not talking, or I've not heard them talk about, the robotics and then the AI systems.
Yeah, because I didn't know the truth is matter is a balancing act, right? Here on national context, decision making has to be within the context of so the robots, ni AI, ne sarmane ba, nipa, omoye sejumano.
What happens to them?
What happens to them, right? Into a balancing act. But it makes sense when you are investing in people. So say free SHS, for example.
Okay.
So you are investing in people. You're building your people's capacity to do higher level work.
Okay.
So I'll say yes, but when you're investing in free SHS, you're building the capacity in TVET, for me, it makes sense to
Okay.
start looking at the robotics and AI
Okay.
stuff because you are building the capacity of your people to
That's right.
take on more advanced tasks which should be unique to people.
That's right.
Right. But can't yes, because at the end of the day, you'll be displacing a lot of people, right?
out of work.
And then what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Right? It's a holistic solution. You cannot look at it in isolation. And we need to be thinking beyond Ghana. Right?
Okay.
If we're building capacity, let's shoot to be, the center of excellence in Africa for applying robotics and AI in agriculture, so that you become the go-to person within the sub-region.
That's
it requires investment, it requires vision, and it requires a commitment to go on that journey.
We should be deliberate. We should know
absolutely.
its importance and then the future there is to it, so that we'll be so intentional. Say this is the way we're going, and we'll invest our resources in there, knowing what it has for us in the future. We'll try also to speak with Professor Kwame Frimpong from the University of Cape Coast, na yete no version, because today the conversation has to do with advancing the agri sector by looking at AI and then robotics. We've been told, I mean, from the conversations we're having here this morning, it's quite an interesting one. The able na you take advantage of. And our yields, it will boom. We're not going to depend on the rains again, especially in the days of climate change, where you are not too certain when the rains are coming down, and even the outpour, you may not be truly sure as to whether it's going to be heavy, which will destroy the crops at the end of the day, and also crash into Mimba. But before we go to Professor Frimpong on the line, the Amibusan say, what do you suggest? Secondary schools where agri as a course, instead of focusing so much on horticulture as a program, animal husbandry, we should rather go more into helping them build robots that can be doing the work. We should help them look at AI, be well versed there. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. Let's look at it from an integrated perspective, right? Not all your agriculturists will be engineers, for example, right? But we need to start thinking project-based learning, because truly big projects are delivered by interdisciplinary teams, right? And if you're going to situate your curriculum within the context of a project, so that people actually learn within the context of this overarching vision of this grand vision of this is where we're going.
Sure.
We're doing large-scale agriculture. And the cool thing today is you can do that digitally. You can have a digital twin of the farm. You can train your robots on the vision and all that in a metaverse environment, in simulation, right? Into here, say, call immediately onto the farm, but you can do all these things in simulation. So one thing I like to talk about, even as we talk about AI and all that, we also need to look at a national computing infrastructure.
Okay.
It can be done on the researchers will definitely need it. Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, right? They will need it. I think the educational institutions, particularly research-focused educational institutions, also need it, right? Because that is compute on which all these AI models run, where you train your models and all that. It is going to be like a utility. So to enable all these innovations, we need to be looking at, some powerful, GPUs.
Okay.
Right? Because that is a prerequisite. That is the enabling foundational block. It requires some investment. It is a necessity, right? And then you can take advantage of all these digital engineering approaches.
That's right.
Right? So you don't have to make the full investment on the actual farm.
Okay.
But you can train your human capital.
That's right.
Because they'll do it in simulation.
That's right.
They'll train the models in simulation, and they'll work out kinks before they actually get on the ground.
It looks like a journey as obi teacher obeka say now we start here for here na here. Now we'll be going for a break. When we are back in the studio, we'll look at how expensive is it to go into that, you understand, and then sometimes also I na ebinomoka say, oh, but the African child and then the African system, how are we going to adapt this robotics and then the AI. So we'll be looking at that conversations. And I'll also speak with Professor Kwame Frimpong from UCC, na yetumi a holistic approach to our conversations today. That will be after this break. Okay, Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
Prof, Prof, my camera didn't come from Kakra, mami.
Camera, no say they sit here now. I have fitted already on the computer. And you know what me adjusted so much.
Prof,
But baby, I see no not me face outside. It's not light no outside too much.
I'm funny sir. Young corner, and
You know me try to another computer, but it will take some time. You fancy.
Prof, coming up, what thing is here?
Yes, I saw him.
I'm sure you were following the conversations.
Yes, I have been following it very much, and I'm enjoying it.
All right, so welcome back from that break. We're going to have Professor Kwame Frimpong on the line, and all the way from University of Cape Coast. Now, when it comes to our break in Africa, Professor Kwame Frimpong is in. So let's go straight up to Professor Frimpong via Zoom. Na Yankote so the side of the story. We're looking at AI, we're looking at robotics, we're looking at it over the agri sector. But this morning, Kwame has made a lot of revelations, and if you look at it critically, it is for me the direction that we should be looking at as a nation. And I believe when we do so, most of our youth will not be thinking of living outside. Kwame, you would also tell me how Africans are doing elsewhere with respect to AI robotics, you know. So, Professor Frimpong, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Now, it's saying,
Now we are doing now, so
Prof, finna my feel.
we are here.
Yeah, come now, me sure say, now we follow conversation, no.
Me man start. Me name one started, but with quite them intimate quite a number of things. Yeah.
Okay, Prof, Entino, you are the investing level. The person me no shashi and share. With respect to robotics and AI, no, the agri sector, what are we not doing right as a people?
Oh, okay. I would rather you have asked me what can we do right.
Let's blend it up. Let's blend, because if we know what we are not doing right, it will help us know what we are supposed to do right.
All right. Okay. Because you see, once you begin to talk about what you are not doing right, you will be stepping on toes, and you know how people will feel. You know. But let's see how best we can address this issue. I'm inclined to believe that Kobna would have explained essentially what AI is and what robotics is and how the two work together. Because I didn't start with you, so I think we need to put these things in perspective. So if he has done that, then based on it, I could just proceed.
Last week we had Kobna here, and then we had an extensive conversations on that one. So Kobna was able to explain things into detail. We looked at the AI itself, we looked at the robotics itself, but in any ways, you can also add your knowledge to it, that we can move on with our conversations this morning.
Oh, well, basically, talking from agriculture perspective, we are looking at robotics would actually focus on the physical aspect, see, where machines are designed and are made to do some work, so to speak. And then you have the AI, which looks at more the digital side, where you are trying to look at how the systems can mimic, human cognitive behaviors and reasoning. Yeah. So there are some tasks can be performed. So this is all I want to say. But now let's look at it from a agriculture perspective. You see, agriculture is first a science. It is also an art and a business. Unfortunately, in our environment, we more often than not look at the art aspect.
That's right.
We go down so much on the science and the business aspect. And now we have three critical issues. There are a lot of challenges, but climate change is here with us.
Sure.
Population is also increasing. And then we now have to produce a lot, and it has to be more efficient and effective. And that is why this issue of science and technology becomes very, very pertinent. All right. So let's look at what happens now in our universities.
Okay.
I have personally done a study, and I have observed that the number of students that are interested in agriculture keeps dwindling.
Wow.
But the number of students who are interested in IT and engineering keeps going up and up and up. So we also would agree that in Ghana, our economy is agrarian, right? The surest way we can promote socioeconomic development is to use agriculture as the engine.
That's right.
Therefore, in my opinion, the best way to approach this is to marry engineering, ICT, and agriculture. And this is what we are not doing very well in our universities and training institutions. Because even as academics, we try to operate in silos. I am a soil scientist, so I'm more focused on soil science. You are an IT person, AI, blah, blah, blah. But I believe that the time has come for us to come together to re-engineer our curriculum and also the delivery of our training, so that we are going to build a holistic capacity of a student who would come up highly skilled with science and technology and also in agriculture. And I believe if we are able, let me tell you something interesting. Last week, I was in Brussels, and there was an issue of tech agro or agrotech. Must it be somebody who is doing agriculture who will be equipped with science and technology, or somebody who is doing engineering who will be equipped with agriculture? I think that both are relevant. So this is what I want to say.
Okay.
We have to rethink our curriculum and how we deliver it. If we motivate our youth, they are quite clever. The youth of today are smart. If we provide the enabling environment, we will work together and we will succeed. That's what I think.
Prof, my young chikakra na yen share at the secondary school level.
Yes.
Where agri, make I say agri memorial those days, in the 90s at 9 year school, no. Na students be our farm. Me na me wa me farm. Obeba na my me bed. In fact, na ya marke wo kra. You know, and we share secondary school level now. And your master, even the course now, nanke ye ne kane no, near ye general agric, ye horticulture, ye crop husbandry, animal husbandry, and then na as at the secondary school level. Now, say yes, a son, ye resi a bit me as a son, your man's ye be cottage sharia, and can one was say yes, a son no every kane. Prof me busal from where you are. The government is listening. What should be the approach? Yes, a son of Kwan Ben Swa, a beb here moving forward to be there, you know, that you bit me the agree can push the nation.
You know, that's it. You see, the point in this yeah, secondary school system are a little bit different. Of course, secondary school, to me, I say where you're art students.
That's right.
Where you're business students, where you're science students, where you're so and so. Enti obia was secondary school no or the Nigerian bu say me wie na me call university I am going to this discipline or that discipline or that discipline.
That's right.
Enti yo ebi kura me a science student kura nka metimi asua French and now music and now economics and now bibi no now fixes chemistry so ade no ani gu so.
That's right.
Enti me did this the SSI say from basic education to secondary to tertiary no as I said the system should be speaking to one another.
Okay.
One as I say identify skill set na ye here because skill set na ye here and then I be use their properly your development agenda. What you say? And this obi course secondary school obi wo ho a on say agree the way I in Africa and yet lucrative. And to obi am per se obekwa akoye bi. Now this is another thing. Microphone be breaking say ye agree secondary school as a subject. And well, in one way, yes, but I mean, out one course secondary school for medicine. Do we do engineering in medical secondary school? Do we do law in secondary school? But only secondary school, you nursing or you communication, you say the mu but only panning him say that you know me we na communication, medicine, and for baso.
That's right.
And the thing is this: if we can project our agriculture in a way that will be attractive, whether you do it as a subject or not will not matter. Now, for me, that is the issue. And yes, I have to go as a agric science. To be honest with you, maybe because we go school, because school no, now also see a agric in but a lot of people didn't want to do it because they feel so we are smart.
Even at this time.
Oh yes, this is why we should have the conversation. So nipa ni secondary school, young focus on skill na person develop on any the kind of knowledge you see at the man on rather than saying say we are Greek, we are this, we are this. For example, maybe a science, but I'm agriculturist. Right. So I also learned physics, chemistry like anybody else. But if I can tell you, sir, if you go to higher levels in agriculture, you also have agric engineering. You have ICT in agric. Even in America, we have legal law that specializes in agriculture. Right. Even in the military.
That's right.
And you know the tennis this. Yan you know who say your secondary school and then training here they be my man. Now their motivation here they be my. In any case, your Greek industry you attractive. Then they will come to it.
About when champion na in terms of this robotics and AI, no.
All right.
We've taken some steps. Now, wait me my enchemu kakra. Now, for you, quite bit to me, facilitate your content. But remember, Kobna so in the studio. Now, Kobna. So you are from a year from the United States, where you know these things are. Listening to Professor Frimpono, what is your take? What do you think, say, over there? A bit different that we should be emulating?
I believe that there's a national strategy and a whole ecosystem approach, right? Into AI, I prevalent. No? U.S. Department of Agriculture will offer grants, for example, for universities, businesses to fund innovations in that area as it relates to agriculture.
Okay.
Right? So you see the linkage between research, the U.S. Department of Agriculture as an enabling institution, and businesses taking advantage of that research, in addition to their own research.
That's right.
In applying and creating value.
That's right.
And generating profit in the marketplace. So you see that whole ecosystem approach, right? So in the
not
same
in
way,
silos.
Yeah, it's not siloed.
That's right.
Right? It's very deliberate. There are targets, there are goals, and they are operating in sync.
That's right.
In the same way, my expectation, and I won't say I know what the status quo is fully, right? My expectation is that your Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Ministry of Agriculture, your industry players in the sector, academia, you think that there's a linkage. You projecting where you want to be in 2030, Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay.
You're saying, based on that vision of where we want to be in 2030, let's work backwards. What skill sets does industry need?
That's right.
Is it aligned with the output of academia? What research, applied science challenges are there?
We should be able to make projections.
Entities, yeah. No, in a system which is working, you see the linkages between all these institutions, and at the end of the day, you're creating value.
Let's talk about so on the value. I hear Prof would want to go into. Let me finish with Prof and then Professor Frimpong. It's a word that's over. Mami no we na fe minja na cultural dia mami. Eti boy you from the university no and they hear yeah fun to say technology so that ankoye won rai won crop for assume. Ghana yeah sharing a great sector now in terms of technology. No yeah. What are some of the practical ways you go akwemu afo say eboa na fe no professor other solutions and I say ideas say betimi aboa me contem.
Okay, Menase. Honestly, me knew a lot about what is happening in the ministry because me work university system, me need civil service and now public service. Of course, it once in a while normal interactive, but me knew exactly what the policies are and what they have done so far.
Right.
So I know outside in it, I'll be very careful.
Okay.
But I can say the conversation began a long time ago.
Okay.
Maybe rate not and yet fast enough, but the conversation started. In fact, I've been in meetings where we are talking about some of these things. In fact, I'm inclined to believe, one of the reasons why they are setting up STEM high schools. Because it is part of building the capacity from that level. I also know that in most of the universities, they are also trying to tool the agric faculties.
Okay.
In fact, even here in UCC, we are trying to put up a course. We call it soil health and fertilizer science. Now it is receiving support from IFGC, ISRIC, and a lot of international organizations, because the thing is this, we are focusing on productivity, profitability, and sustainability.
Sure.
Because you feel say yes sir, Anna agriculture no HSA say students no waha na say osua then from the textbook. There must be a way of practicalizing the oil.
That's right.
And say a build linkages between industry and academia. And as Cobb now was saying, research, academia, industry on individual basis. Say project, but there no it should be made systemic. Okay, not just say and yes, but once you come into the university, you will be part of the system.
That's right.
And that conversation is going on. Now, Mijidi said, the master tenor are very good. And as you do this, once in a while, you also try to link up with the university management and also the research people. Okay. Because sometimes if the idea gets very deep into the management, they are the people who control the pairs and everything.
That's right.
Some of us, you can talk and talk and talk, but sometimes you know what I mean. So that's it.
Prof, in fact, this is the beginning of our conversation. I think that yɛbɛsan ahyia na yɛ deal with it properly. Yɛhwɛ culturally, normally adeɛ no na yɛntimi yɛmfa nto yɛ. I'm sure sɛ saa nkɔmmɔ wei ɛtɔkɔ so even for a year. Prof, ɛde nsesa bebree bɛba.
I mean, you're sure.
But
Yeah.
thank you so much for the knowledge shared with
It's
us
a
this
pleasure.
morning. It's been awesome. It's been awesome. Now, I was saying, you know, now archives. Now, from time to time, we revisit them. So, Prof, thank you once again. We'll come back to you another time. Now, to come.
Yeah,
Let me end
pleasure
up
is
with
mine.
Kobna in the studio. Kobna, yeah, we're wrapping up, right? So, just a word with respect to the Prof Kai, if you have any take on that, Nafi, you're wrapping up with your final way.
Yeah, I totally agree with Prof that we need to be taking that ecosystem approach. I was making that same point. And then we need to look at all levels, right? We need to map out the stakeholders, the strategic, the decision makers, right? And make sure that the conversations cut across, practitioners, academia, decision makers in those domains, the industry, coalition, and then policy from the perspective of government. And then I would like to emphasize the need to, diaspora engagement.
Good.
All right? I have to ask yourself, what do I have in my hands? And when you're looking at it from a national perspective, you take an inventory of the skill set you have in country, the skill set you have in the diaspora.
That's right.
And looking at how best to
we can marry,
integrate.
That's right.
Because you have that skill set somewhere, right? And that person may not be engaged in contributing to capacity building and all that. Exactly, right? So we need to be there, even as we think about beyond the return and all that, we need to be deliberate. Through all those exercises, we need to be identifying talent and skill and relationships with universities.
That's right.
In the States
That's
and
right.
other places where we can actually collaborate on some of these things. Because where we may lack resources, if you're in an international coalition,
that's right,
they may be working on a grant over there in another country, and they want to have an international dimension
that's
to
right.
it, right? So these relationships within and within a national context.
Our time is up. Come on, give us your number. Give us your number.
Yeah.
So someone may want to call and then have further conversations with you quickly.
Yeah, I'll give an email address.
Okay, so
Kboateng, KBOATENG,
okay,
at africandiasporanation.org.
All right.
Kboateng at africandiasporanation.org.
All right.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting conversation. Yes, I'll say and then everyone, but we'll get to a point realize that time is far gone and we need to be wrapping up. It has been me, Kojo Addison. Want to say a very big thank you to Kobna here in the studios and also to Professor Kwame Frimpong from UCC for being a part of our conversations today. Let me also thank you, the viewer at home. I'm sure if we had gotten the time, you would have come in to also share your thought with us. But God willing, tomorrow we'll be here. Joy Wilson will be here. And then we'll definitely be serving us. Thanks to all the production crew, Alex, Obapa, Barabas, and Emmanuel, and Getty for all being a part of the show. And also to you, Boss Ricky, my executive producer. We are meeting again, God willing, tomorrow. Joy Wilson, good morning to you. We love you. Until then, enjoy Cardo, which is up next.